I'm watching a video right now called I Wanted a Father. Child of lesbian couple reveals her struggles. And it's about Millie Fontana of Australia discussing how her lesbian parents raised her together and didn't give her a father figure until she finally got them to at age 11, at which point she discovered that that's what was missing in her life. Now, despite this heartfelt account of her own testimony in the necessity of a father in a child's life, I can't help but wonder, how are YouTube's 10,000 new screening employees going to take to a video like this? How are they going to feel about it? Because if you didn't know, YouTube has hired 10,000 new employees to do just that, to screen videos for offensive content. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look for a job, I look for one that is suited to my skills, my interests. And so if you're looking for a job where you are essentially censoring people, that means it's kind of suited to your interests to have searched for that in the first place. Maybe some people are simply looking for any job with Google. But I'm willing to bet the vast majority are people that are like, finally, I get to have that power over these cis-male shitlords. Now, it bothers me that Google is giving this much power to people who are potentially social justice warriors that are going to be able to silence the vast majority of normal people. Because this comes not too closely on the heels of them having fired James Damore. If you don't know about that story, it's about an employee, James Damore, who, being an engineer, decided he was going to use his abilities and his personality traits to send out a memo. It came about like this. There was a diversity training at Google, and at the end, they said, please give us your feedback. Well, Damore, being the type of person that he is, thought that was an imperative rather than an option. And so he wrote a memo on the differences between men and women. And yes, indeed, there are. Men and women are not interchangeable, despite how much the left wants to shove that in your face and state that that is the case. When he gave it to his superiors, they brushed him off. So he, feeling like he might need to improve his memo, sent it out to their private message board where the other employees could see it. It quickly turned into a nightmare for him, as his employees branded him as a misogynist, and they decided to fire him. Now, what alarms me about this is among the people on the board that fired him is a person that self-identifies on their resume, self-identifies as a large ornate building. Yeah, it's the otherkin thing. If you haven't heard of otherkin, look it up. O-T-H-E-R-K-I-N, otherkin. It's people who believe that they are something other than human, and they just happen to have a human body. They have these insane people working at Google, wielding enough power to fire somebody simply for stating views. Not just views, but correct views, scientifically accurate views. Now, one of the people at Google who emailed James Damore, and I noticed the sun is really killing the light here, making it so we can't see the screen. An employee at Google emailed James Damore saying, and there is an F-bomb coming up, so cover your kids' ears. Feel free to pass this along to HR. This is Alex Hidalgo at Google. Alex Hidalgo. Yes, I am putting his name out there, the little bastard. Feel free to pass this along to HR. Keep them in the loop for all I care. May as well do it early. You're a misogynist and a terrible human. I will keep hounding you until one of us is fired. And then he ends it with the same thing that all leftists do when they know that their argument is not as good as yours. He ends with, fuck you. If you'll notice, in every argument that a leftist is in, they always end it by saying fuck you. They run out of arguments and that's all they can say. I think that's very interesting because when you watch videos of people arguing with leftists, you can see the point. And it's a very mutual point. It's very across the board. The point at which they say that. And then the argument is over. It's the part where they no longer can argue using their feelings and they have to start pulling up facts to try and back themselves up. And they cannot. Because, let's say I say that Chicago is a prime example of why gun control laws don't work. Well, the leftist would say, yeah, but guns are scary, and if we get rid of them, then nobody will have them, and then nobody will get shot. At which point you bring up statistics, and they'll try and say, well, statistics might not necessarily be true. They could be based on a biased source or from a group that is misrepresented. Okay, fine. Then you state, FBI crime statistics based on years past and numbers that have changed when certain rules have come into play. And they get a little flustered. And then you say, it's also surprising that it is in specific communities, mainly the black communities in, say, August at 2 a.m. in Boston, in Chicago, that these crimes are occurring the most. And then the leftist is like, fuck you, you racist pig. And the argument's over. Because you keep pressing them with facts and figures, and all they have to come back with his feelings. Watch these videos. Watch all kinds of videos of leftists arguing with not just right-wing people, but just people who believe in facts rather than feelings. And you'll see it always comes to a point where the leftist says, fuck you. In fact, Trigglypuff with Steven Crowder at that one event, with Steven Crowder, Christina Hoff Sommers, and Milo Yiannopoulos, and the fat chick, Trigglypuff, now as she's known, just sits there in her seat. Oh, fuck you, fuck you. Oh, I'm so tired from flapping my wings. It's the same thing. And it's across the board. It never changes. Hey, I think I'm coming to the end of the line on this thing. We're coming up on 10 minutes. I want to cut it off. So if you like this, please hit that button, of course, and hit that watermark to subscribe. I'm going to keep on making more videos with facts, not feelings. Maybe a little conjecture from me, because why not? In the meantime, hey, you 10,000 new YouTube screeners, I'm not saying anything inherently bad. Please don't kill me. Bye.